Hello everyone, Harry Baldock here, editor at Total Telecom, and today I'm delighted to be joined by senior consultant and newly appointed chair of judges for the World Communication Awards, Marc Anné. Marc, thank you very much for joining me today.
It's a great pleasure, Harry.
We're very happy to have you. Firstly, congratulations on being appointed chair of the WCA Judging Committee. I know everyone here at Total Telecom is really thrilled to have you in this position. Please, can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about your professional background?
Okay, thank you, Harry. Well, I'm really honored with this appointment, I need to say. I consider it as a real appreciation from the industry I served for many years so far. So I'm a Belgian citizen. I'm living somewhere in the triangle between Brussels, Antwerp, and Ghent. My background is I have a master's degree in communication sciences and a bachelor one in sociology. And I'm self-employed since 2013, running my own consultancy business, specialized in advising and constructing and implementing transformational programs for B2B and B2C telecom companies. I think my appetite for technological solutions was already triggered in the 80s of last century, when I started my career in what they called at the time the area of new technologies. I worked as business development for a electronic publishing startup from a newspaper company, and we were distributing real-time stock exchange information via video text. I don't know if many of you still remember video text. It was in France, it was known as Minitel, and we had a download speed of around 1200 volts per second. Well, I recalculated that recently, and in 5G download speeds, today it would mean that we are 400 million plus times faster than the services we offered at the time. So really my appetite was really triggered at that time, all around technology, solutions, information distribution, etc. So since then I held various senior and executive positions in telecom and IT-related multinationals, Control Data, General Electric Information Services, Cytor, which was a spin-off of CETA, the air transport, IT and telecommunication service provider, which was afterwards rebranded Equant, and which became 2005-2006 to Orange Business Services. I held senior and executive roles in various disciplines in this business: country, regional management, partnership management. I implemented mergers. I program managed various transformation programs and also rolled out different customer experience projects. So I acquired a lot of board as well as operational experience in various disciplines during all those years. Yeah.
So we're here today to talk about the WCAs and why they're so important for the telecoms industry. So what's your thoughts on this, and why do you think they're important for the industry as a whole, as well as for the individuals?
Right. I think, first of all, for the telecoms industry as a whole, I think let's look a bit back to the WCA history, right, and evolution over time. WCA exists since 1999, right? Recognizing excellence amongst global operators. But the entrants have broadened really from purely telco providers to the juncture between telco and ICT. I think over time, the role of the players overall, right, blurred between telcos, service providers, vendors, etc. And nowadays, there are really a broad variety of contributors. Apart from the traditional and the fixed and mobile operators and wholesale operators, you have now the communication service providers, platform, IoTs, IT service providers, etc., etc. So over the years, also the WCA entrance it became also much more geographically widespread. Right now, we are all covering all continents and regions, getting contributions from all of them. And even in 2019, the winner of the best operator in an emerging market was located even in Papua New Guinea. So just to give you an idea that size does not necessarily matter. As such, it's more the innovative content which prevails. Also, I think in WCA, we keep up the categories up to date, right, to ensure that we really are fully relevant to today's industry. So in short, I think WCA's, is equal to the Oscars of at least of the telecoms industry. There's also different reasons, I would say, for individual entrants to contribute. I think it gives the opportunity for companies to look through the eyes of an outsider and to really formulate their unique value proposition. It also offers, I think, a worldwide exposure to winners and shortlisted companies and all who are participating, by the way. It demonstrates, I think, industry leadership. Some consider it also as an industry benchmarking exercise. It leverages trustworthiness in the company, the service they are putting forward. And it also helps to convince sometimes customers, shareholders, partners, but as important and more important nowadays, and the employees. It's really a kind of an internal recognition of a team, a department, and it also stimulates, we've seen that in the past, right, employee engagement internally towards their own organizational strategies and ambitions. And in some cases, I've heard even that it might attract new talent with the exposure of participating in the WCA. There's a broad range, right, of choices of awards for in the WCA. Apart from the traditional ones, there are a lot of technology trends-related ones: digital transformation, IoT, cloud, platform award, etc., and also the softer ones: customer experience, social contribution, people and culture, name it. So plenty of choice. I think last but not least, why it is important for an individual entrance, I think WCA is also a unique opportunity to attend the prestigious award ceremony in October each year, at least hopefully again this year, right? Last year we had a digital version, which was also a very interesting concept, but of course I prefer the face-to-face ceremonies with more than 500 executives and senior industry representatives participating in that event in London. And that gives a lot of opportunities also for myself to learn from other businesses, to build new relationships, and that's also the case for the individual entrants. Yeah.
We're certainly very hopeful that we'll be able to do it physically this year, which would be amazing.
Cross fingers.
Absolutely. Can you tell me a little bit more about the judges' profiles and the judging process itself that goes into the WCA? Okay,
that's very important. I think judging profiles, I think right now we are around a count of around 70. I think there might be arriving a couple more. I mean, we selected, or these judges are selected based on their impartial track record, I would say, and independency as known in the industry. They professionally, they hold various roles. Primarily, they are consultants, journalists, editors, representatives of trade associations, research companies, for example, to regulatory authorities even. And we even have, since this year, the voice of the customer directly. We even have a B2B customer executive in our midst in the judging panel, and I'm very, very pleased with that. We are covering worldwide. Even this year, the Americas and the African region has been further somewhat reinforced. And in terms of expertise, the judges really cover all key areas and trends in our industry. I counted it once, and I think that overall we are representing 15 centuries of industry knowledge, experience, and practice in the telecom industry. So that's what about the profiles. In terms of the process itself, it's a kind of multi-stage process. All entrants, they fill in the same entry form, right? And the judges, they use the same judging app. And in the first round, they review and they score the entrants numerically based on a proven method. And then it's followed by a kind of virtual judging decision-making meeting where the results are decided, the shortlist, the winners, and the highly recommended ones. And then the awards are announced, as we already said, right, in the award ceremony end of October. While the shortlist per award, per category is published beforehand. So overall, it's a well-proven, impartial, and well-oiled process. Yeah.
Absolutely. What makes a particularly great entry? What are the judges looking for from a winning submission?
That's a good question. I think, well, I can speak for myself primarily. I think the entrance positions well in first instance the importance, the uniqueness, I would say, or criticality of the entry within the overall strategy of the company, of the player. It clearly sets out also the advantages, the innovative characteristics, the scale and impact of the contribution. I think it's important that contributors keep the content to the point and that there are no real lengthy submissions. Remember, the judges have to review tons of submissions and have to do that in a profound and in-depth manner. And therefore, I think also usage of easy understandable language is important. I think I would suggest that entrants that really proofread draft contributions. We've seen that sometimes there's too much, I would say, technical abbreviations in those submissions. So I suggest engineers, let's review your submissions by communication and marketing people, but also vice versa. And last but not least, it's all backed up, good agreed entry is backed up by accessible, supporting evidence with real tangible proof points, right? These are real differentiators, I can tell you. With illustrative usage of video and social media materials. What not preferred is, I would say, is promotional material and copy-paste press releases. That doesn't make too much sense. And last but not least, backed by convincing and representative customer testimonials is also a very big plus here.
For you personally, what areas are you considering particularly exciting for the telecom space right now? Are there any specific categories or maybe some technologies that you're really looking forward to seeing represented in the submissions this year?
Well, what I feel particularly exciting is that our future, right, is now really hyper-connected. We are living witnesses, and I really enjoy this. I'm really excited about it, this fourth industrial revolution, right? I'm fascinated by this wealth of innovation and converging technologies which are presenting themselves: cloud, artificial intelligence, IoT, robotics, name it, right? And I'm also thrilled about the speed of this rollout. I mean, just recently read by 2025, there will be around 41 billion IoT devices, 41 billion IoT devices in the world, and 9 billion smartphones. So, talking about scale. Well, you do not need to be a sociologist, right, to see that our industry and society undergoes massive changes right now with the blending of IT and networking. The network is really becoming an enabler of not only of person to person, but person to machine and machine to machine communications, connecting people, sites, assets, business, etc. So that's what really excites me and wakes me up every morning. Now, in terms of technologies, I'm especially looking forward. There is obviously is 5G, the engine of the fourth industrial revolution, the change agents, right, of our business. We are right now in a kind of launch, early adopter phase, depending on which region you are in the world, and it's a real catalyst for all those new technologies we were just earlier on referring to. It's applied in many industries, right? Verticals, automotive, health, mining, shipping, just starting into supply chains, real-time data and smart asset tracking. And also I'm quite excited about everything around the 5G 2B environment with spectrum sold to enterprises offering innovative vertical solutions. Obviously, monetization remains a challenge, right? Especially in the 5G 2C services, but again, it's a start and it's a fascinating environment. In terms of categories, right, which I'm specifically looking forward to this year's submission, I think obviously the technologically related ones, the 5G implementation award. So it's now called 5G implementation. So we are looking to really successful implementation stories right now, but also the related new business models. It's very important, and ecosystems. And also you have also the awards around the 5G, right? They're already supported by 5G, IoT, cloud, platform, etc. I also like the Beyond Connectivity Award personally. I think we kicked it off last year. It's an award that goes beyond network and technology, right? And focuses on product service offerings, different verticals. So it's a nice challenge to position yourself as a company in that area. Obviously, I'm thrilled by one of my own expertise areas, which is customer experience, right? I'm really curious to see again this year who will be the award winner of the best all-round customer experience and customer stickiness player. And last but not least, there is the new Crisis Response Award. Needless to say, 2020 COVID pandemic, pivotal year for our industry. So these are the areas which I'm really looking forward and thrilled about. Yeah.
Certainly a lot of interesting categories, and we're really looking forward to some of the new entries that we're having Absolutely. For the first time. Speaking of the pandemic, do you think this has changed the mindset of the telecoms industry as we kind of go into this new year?
Well, let's look a bit at the pandemic context, right? I mean, in 2020 and now even 2021, telecom became and is the most critical infrastructure after the medical. And the positive thing is that we have seen for our industry significant increase in trust from consumers and enterprises in our industry, whereby telecom is now really a lifeline in offering reliable and zero-touch operations. So increase of trust, let's keep the trust. Trust is hard to win, it's easy to lose, so let's be careful there. Our industry really became conscious that the accelerated digitization, right, is leading to massive changes in the society, in the workforce, in the enterprises. And I think that IT and the mindset of our industry became much more strategic than ever before. Right? Companies realized that zero-touch operations for customers cannot be supported anymore by data sitting in individual silos, and that data integration is now absolutely a must. I think that the smartest players have understood that the cloud ecosystems are the real glue right now for the digital lifestyle services which we are living online on our devices every day. Some even see the potential to become tomorrow the super aggregator, right? Hopefully they will get there. And understood, and some have understood also the necessity to need also to partner with other players. And I think the smartest players today are even very conscious now that customers are absolutely really sitting in the driving seat. It is my perception that COVID is partially resetting the mindset also in the smarter boardrooms. Of course, it requires much more out-of-the-box thinking to do things differently, responding more quickly to market needs and ending trust bonds with customers. Agility, change management, innovation, right, are even more strategic assets than ever before. And it's also an opportunity for a lot of companies to reinvent their purpose and role beyond connectivity. But I think also what we see is that boardrooms are starting to look at the workforce in a different way. Right? I think with the COVID, with the pandemic, it's very important, much more important now to be close to employees. They need to feel safe, the mental health of staff, the emotional aspects all around that. So there's definitely increased appreciation. We've seen that, right, in many telco players, with frontline staff engagement. We're doing discretionary extra effort during COVID and get appreciation around it. So there's much more focus also on employee journeys. And by the way, it's also a massive opportunity, an opportunity also for big upskilling of the skill sets which are required in this ITization of our industry. So overall, we see, I think, the arrival of a lot of new fully digitalized players, which is very fascinating, I think. They position themselves more as software companies, also offering wireless network services, and not the other way around. But let's be realistic, remain realistic. For traditional players, the biggest challenge remains the technical legacy, right? Preventing them to develop new services and to delighting customers. But I think, yes, I'm definitely convinced that this pandemic has changed and will further change part of the mindsets of our industry going forward.
I think you've already touched on it a little bit, and I think it's actually very well reflected in the WCA's new categories. But one of the things we're seeing this year is an increasing focus from the industry on things like sustainability, social responsibility, and company culture, as you already mentioned. Why are these things really important right now?
Well, we've already mentioned, right, the pandemic. I think before the pandemic, we already had an increasing climate crisis consciousness, right, ongoing, which was urging us, will urge us to rethink our economy and our industries. We ourselves experienced and experiencing still partially unseen lockdowns, right, in our societies and daily lives. So it's obvious that overall in our society, sustainability is becoming an even bigger topic than ever before. And I think that the public opinion that we don't want to be confronted anymore with longer, more dramatic lockdowns due to lack of longer-term sustainability solutions. So also, I think in our industry, we are looking now to new business approaches, creating longer-term value, right? I think that, to be honest, perhaps has been a bit too much window dressing in the past around the environmental aspects, etc. Too many corporate social responsibility, tick the box type of exercises. But now we really are starting to see some new examples of new business approaches. Right? For example, I've seen recently some linkages between sustainability and keeping customers happy. Considerations like why not helping to change customer behaviors on how they think about hardware, recycling of mobile phones. Why not considering even the application of human rights clauses for new orders? So it's really going beyond the narrow definition of the circular type of business models. But of course, there remains an annoying dilemma, right, in our industry regarding the green aspect of our business, namely that on the one hand, there is the increasing requirement of energy reduction versus the exponential increase of data traffic. So each time we Google, each time we do a Zoom conference, we are co-responsible for extra energy creation. So that's a dilemma which still the industry needs to tackle, I would say. So indeed, we launched this sustainability award, right, in WCA, replacing the environmental one. And we hope to see, and I'm sure we will see this year, a lot of sustainability and social responsibility and contribution.
I guess my final question for you is what advice would you give to a company considering entering this year's WCAs maybe for the first time?
Well, this is a very good one. I would say read carefully through the various descriptions of the categories first. And if required, use as a source of inspiration scan the profiles of the companies who were previously winners and shortlisted ones. And then select those teams in which your company can really differentiate itself mostly and positions its unique selling points in the best possible way. And I would say if you're a newcomer to the WCA contest, well, leverage it, let the world know, and also for the ones who are participating, who are shortlisted, make as much as possible noise. It gives you an excellent exposure. Yes.
Marc, it's been really fascinating speaking to you. Thank you very much for joining me today.
It was a pleasure, Harry. Thank you.